Arsenal. Do you think, Staffy, there will be a statement win this weekend? They had a lot of tough away games, but they're playing a lot of the sort of the fodder and the relegation candidates. Do you think this is when Arsenal will start to improve their goal output and maybe have a bit of a statement win?
What's their next run of games? Because I know the next three are easy. Who do they play?
They play Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth.
Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth. Um, that's a good fixture. I'm assuming they're at home because they've been away for like 3 games in a row.
They've got 4 home games in a row.
Yeah,
4 home games in a row, Staffy.
They need it because they played like 3 in a row away from home, 2 in the league and 1 in the Champions League. So they need to be at home. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I defended them versus City, but now that game is done, let's go back to talking about their generic play. This Stoke City football has to stop. They've generally become Stoke City this season. You know, this is Sean Dyche football. This is everything that they never were, and it's fine. Listen, I respect teams with good defenses because defenses does win you trophies at the end of the season. So I appreciate the fact that Arteta is going for a different approach. I found it a bit hypocritical from people that said stop copying Pep, but now he's actually the opposite of Pep, and they're calling out for being the complete opposite of Pep. It just makes no sense. Right now, Mikel Arteta is moving like Diego Simeone. This is Atletico Madrid without the personalities, because Atletico Madrid had nasty personalities in that team. They played shithouse football. They scored a lot of goals, by the way. A lot of people think Simeone's team didn't score goals, but they were just very nasty, very defensive, and they, no matter what, they got the win at any cost. I feel like that's what Arteta's moving towards. I'm seeing a lot of, what is it again? The dark arts. And dark arts, it sounds crazy to me. It sounds like black magic or whatever they call it. I'm like, what is dark arts, bro? And then I found out it's time wasted. I was like, why don't you just say time wasted? What do you have to say dark arts?
The reason it's called the dark arts is because it's a multitude of things. So
yeah, it's more than
I don't know how playing football or soccer in America was, but when you play over here, even as a young person, Sunday league football, etc., things like standing on the back of somebody's Achilles, pinching their bum, grabbing their balls, all these things are part of the dark arts. Yeah. No, you do that face. There's certain thing, shit talking, all of that time wasting. Like basically when you're breaking rules, but you're kind of bending rules, or you're doing something slightly underhand. So a dark art would be Gary Neville, one of the best defenders ever. The ball gets crossed in, he's going to get beaten to it, but he's amazing at pulling the shirt or fouling a player where it's just disguised enough where you don't get caught for it. So it's against the rules, but not completely. So those things are called dark arts. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. And that's what I'm saying. I'm calling them, they're moving like Atletico Madrid. So congrats to everyone who wanted Simeone. You got Simeone. He just looks a little bit different. His name is Arteta. No, really, they got their own version now of Simeone. So, but listen, they have a goal scoring issue. And listen, Arteta should be intelligent enough to figure it out. I just don't rate the personnel in terms of what they have. I mean, Saka on his own can't get the job done. Havertz on his own can't get the job done. Martinelli, I just don't rate. So they have an issue that I don't know how they're going to figure it out. I know, and I don't think they need to go into games and win every game like 1-0 or whatever. Like I think they're all heavily over reliant on their back line. Even the set pieces, nice. Gabriel scored 2 games in a row, but that shouldn't be the expectation. Gabriel should have like 6 goals at the end of the season. And that's very, very good if he gets 6. Because last season, Romero finished with 6. That's the most any center back scored. Gabriel was behind him on 5. So if Gabriel replicates that, that's very good on him. But you cannot just rely on set pieces. The front line needs to do their job still. You need to get goals from your midfield and from your front line. And you need to figure it out. Trossard is out this game. What are you going to do with no Trossard? Are they going to play Wanyeri now? Is he going to trust him in the league, or is it just the EFL Cup hype? Because I don't know if he trusts them or not. I spoke about this before on the test. I said, I don't know if he trusts the youngsters. So there's a lot that he needs to do. I'm not going to do the Don thing. I could give you a prediction, but it's just like, I don't know what the manager is going to have to do to get this team to up and firing and scoring goals, because I just don't see the solutions in this team. I can't suggest something that I think will work. The manager has to surprise us with something.
But there's a few things about what you've said that I understand where you're coming from. But there's a few things I'm going to challenge. Firstly, when you said about playing Stoke City football and this isn't Arsenal's way, you're young, Staffy, compared to me. If you grew up watching Arsenal, for instance, in the George Graham era, 1-0 to the Arsenal was a song for a reason. Arsenal, how they're playing right now, is more stereotypical to Arsenal's history than Wenger's football. Wenger's football, in essence, it was here a long time because he was there a quarter of a century. But that's the anomaly for Arsenal's history. They were always a good footballing team, but they were never the team that played the best football in England like they did under Wenger. So I think there is a certain generation of Arsenal fan that remembers the 30 or 40 or 50 years, but I'll get back to before that, so they're not too bothered. The other element is this, and I think that we're ignoring the body of work over the last 2 years. Yes, they've not been firing on all cylinders, but this is the Mikel Arteta team that has broken, by the way, every goal-scoring record that Wenger's teams had 2 seasons running. They've got better at it. 2 seasons running, they've outscored all of Wenger's Premier League teams, and they've bettered it the following year. So I know they have to make improvements. We can all see that Arsenal have to make improvements. But I feel like sometimes when I hear the analysis on it, we're all sort of scratching our heads again. But how do we see him doing this? I find that to be a little bit superficial because we've seen them do it 2 years running where they've broken their goal scoring records. So just because they've started slowly in terms of the amount of goals they're scoring, we know they have the solutions because they've done it 2 years running.
Yeah, but the thing is though, Terry, you have to look at their performances as well though, right? Because before the Spurs game, for me, their best attackers was Saka and Havertz. And they've got a little bit of a partnership as well. You know, we talk about partnerships the other day. Saka and Havertz have a good partnership. But like I said, bro, even before Odegaard went and he got injured, they were not looking good up there, bro, right? They weren't really looking good up there. And for me, Odegaard is a massive miss because he's the heartbeat of that team. He's the one that keeps things ticking, you know? You can't be looking at Partey right now depending on him because number one, he could just go down injured. And number two, his quality doesn't look the same as what it did when the first year when they competed. Yeah, and for me, like I said, Rice is not an 8, right? Can anyone depend on Rice to create? Can anyone depend on Rice to consistently score from outside the box? You're not going to do that. So you have to look at them individually, Terry, and you have to break it down. Without Saka up there and Havertz putting up those numbers, who else can you go to, bro, to go get those numbers for them? Who? Because Odegaard, they haven't even confirmed when he's back. That's another thing. We don't even know when he's back. And like I said earlier, I think their attack will improve when he gets back. But
I understand. I understand that. But I think, look, we know Martinelli's not been in great form. Let's see if he can turn that round. Trossard can score them goals as an example. I'm intrigued to see how well Raheem Sterling does. We barely see him kick a ball as of yet. There is. I think there is goals to come from him. Again, Sterling has always thrived in a well-oiled machine. When he's in a well-oiled machine and when he's in a team that's that's run well, as you already said earlier, he has nearly always kicked out numbers. The only time in his career I've seen him struggle was either when Liverpool struggled or when Chelsea was struggling. But when it's going well, he seems to perform. With England, as an England player, when England were in good form and playing well, that's when Raheem Sterling was winning back-to-back Player of the Years for England, as an example. I also think you mentioned it. Sorry, go on.
Just on Sterling, look, he's a better option than Martinelli. He's better than Martinelli. Like, I think he'll perform better than Martinelli. He's better than what they have. But overall, as an individual, bro, right? Last season, this guy was getting so many opportunities in his natural position, right? In front of goal. Instead of just passing it to the attacker next to him, he's shooting. Yeah? I don't know if you saw the game the other day. Ben White's looking at this guy, and he doesn't want to give it to him, bro, from a throw. Because he knows that he's grenade football, and the ball will probably just blow up at his feet. Yeah? That's Raheem Sterling, bro. The quality right now is not as what it was at Man City. And the season before we bought him, he started to get benched because every single season he was getting worse. He was regressing. Even if you go check his completed take-ons now, year by year, they're going down. One thing that I've loved about Sterling over the years, I've always said Sterling's disrespected. He might not look flary on the ball, but he's very good at what he does. He'll just run past the man, hit it across goal, or he will be at the back post to get the goal, right? But this time round, Terry, when he tries to beat a man time and time again, more time he gets tackled. That's why I kept calling him grenade football, right? That's why that left-hand side, I kept saying it stinks because of Sterling. He was a big part of that. Because of Levi Cole playing at left back. Because of Mudryk. He was a big part of that. So yes, he might be an upgrade on Martinelli, but I can't look at him and say, yeah, this is now the guy that's going to go get 15 goals for them. Going to go get all these assists for them. Because Sterling is just not that guy anymore, in my opinion. He's really not.
But I think he could score 15 goals in the league this season.
You think he can score 15 goals in the league this season?
Sterling, 15 goals in the league. I think he could score more than Martinelli, but he's not scoring 15.
He could definitely score 15 goals this season.
How many wingers have scored 15 goals in the league in the last couple seasons for me to put Sterling there? I think Saka barely gets over 15 every season. and he's way more superior to Sterling.
Way better.
He could get. Look. I think he could get in and around 15. So it might mean 13, but
No
he
chance.
could get close
He's
to
not
that
even
number.
going to play enough minutes to get 15.
He's not doing that.
I don't even think Arteta's going to play him that much. I think he should play him, but I don't think Arteta will.
Are you talking just in the Prem or all comps?
No,
You said in
no,
the Prem. You said 15 goals.
In the Prem. No, again, if I'm in the Prem, okay, maybe you're right. Let me rethink that. Maybe in the Prem, 10 goals then. All competitions, he could be picking up 15 plus goals. Of course he can.
He'll get numbers for them for sure. He got numbers the other day. Like he got numbers for us. But I was saying this guy needs to go Saudi now. It's Saudi time, you know. Like they were never looking.
He's probably going
Terry,
Saudi next summer.
Terry, they were never looking at Sterling, right? The opportunity fell in their lap because we put him to the side and we put him out there in the shop window.
So
yeah?
what?
That's what it is. No, I'm saying.
Hang on. You guys weren't looking at João Felix. You lot weren't looking at João Felix until the situation changed, and you got him, and he's going to do well. What's the difference?
Yeah, but João Felix still has a high trajectory that he can reach, bro. Sterling is on the way down, right? Sterling is on the way out. That's the difference.
Sterling struggled at Chelsea. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. Yeah. But there is still a player in there that can score goals and create chances. Now, a minute ago, you guys were talking about how good it was that Chelsea and Arsenal played so well against the sort of lesser teams in the league and praised it. Sterling played very well in that game. But suddenly Sterling doesn't count in that praise.
In the second
whole game. He played very well in the whole game.
I'm sorry. In the first half, the guy was bonging out the place. In the second half, he played well. To be fair,
did you see the assist? Did you see the goal he created in the first half?
I saw it. Yes, that's why you should have looked at the performance before that, because before that he was thinking out the place. And I'm in group chats with Arsenal fans that was saying, "What the hell have we brought over here again?"
Yeah, but the problem is when it comes to watching Raheem Sterling, there is this. It's the red card theory, isn't it? So again, how many red cards you seen today, Don?
I don't know, bro. 3. I'm joking. I don't know.
You don't know because you're not looking for it. If I said to you, if you can count an accurate number, take pictures of them all, and for everyone you see when you come on the terrace, you'll get paid £50. You are going to see red cards everywhere all day. Take pictures. You're going to be you're super focused on it. Raheem Sterling is getting that treatment. He will certainly make mistakes in games. There'll be times where he should pass and he doesn't. There'll be times when he should shoot and he does. This will happen. But people are going to be hyper focused on it because of a reputation that he has. And we do that all the time. Certain players can get away with making 100 mistakes in a game because we love them and we like them and we're not focusing on the mistakes. There are other people in our mind's eye where we're like, you better not make a mistake today. So you're focusing on it. And we've got
focusing on it, Terry. That's
you
not
are you are focusing on it. You are. Yeah, and we can do an experiment. When we're back in the studio, we're going to do an experiment on this. Right? What we're going to do is we're going to watch it. We're going to get Dre and KJ in there to film it. And we're going to film you watching a game where a player that you don't like is there. And what you're going to do, Don, is you're going to mark out all the mistakes he makes and say what they are. So it could be when he should be... Hang on. When he should be passing, we're going to focus on it. And we're going to list it. Then what we're going to do is take a player that you're going to tell us who the player is that doesn't make those kind of mistakes. Then what we're going to do is record you watching that player play in his team for 2 or 3 games. And every single time one of those mistakes that you've listed has happened to the other person, we're going to first of all see if you react. And if you don't, a foghorn's going to go off. And we're going to see how many times you notice a mistake from a player you like versus a player that you don't like or you think makes loads of mistakes. I don't know if you're wrong or not. I want to do an actual social experiment to see whether our mind tricks us into thinking Raheem Sterling makes more mistakes than a Cole Palmer. He may do. You could be absolutely. I'm using that hypothetically, but we can test that theory. Would you be up for doing that experiment and recording it and put out the content?
We can do that experiment because, like I've said, I'm one of the few that has always defended this guy when he gets disrespected. Sterling gets disrespected, bro. Yeah, he has scored the third most amount of goals for any player that Pep has managed, and Pep has managed Messi. Bare players, bro, and he's third in that list. Yeah, so I've always rated him, but I have to be real in terms of what I'm seeing. The first year when he came, that was an absolute shit show. I gave him a little bit of a blight that season. Second year with a little bit more quality, I said, bro, you need to turn up, right? He was the more experienced one, and at there's times he was looking like a 17, 18-year-old kid. So this has got nothing to do with him playing for Arsenal.
So Don, I'm not disagreeing with your view per se. I'm saying that I get that's how you see it. But I've been for years wanting to run. I used to want to do it with Bruno Fernandes every time he gave the ball away. But what I want is someone, and we will do it with Bruno as well. And he pulled that face. But I want to test the theory because part of me thinks we are all guilty of this. I think we are all guilty of a player that we don't like or a player who has that we have an agenda against, or a player where we notice something bad about them. So it could be Trent's defending. So what you would do with Trent's defending is every time you see him make what you call a defensive mistake, we mark down what it is, and then you cross-reference it by me, and then I turn around and say, Kyle Walker never makes those mistakes. Then what you do is record me watching Kyle Walker play, and we see how many of those mistakes he makes in comparison and how often you're calling it out. And I had this idea years ago, before social media was even a thing. I watched Man United versus Arsenal in a pub with a good friend of mine who's a United fan, and he hated Michael Carrick. And I could never understand his hatred of Michael Carrick, but he despised him. And we watched again. All he did in the game when we were watching it, every time Michael Carrick made a mistake, he screamed and shouted about it. And I was sitting there laughing, saying, but there was like 20 or 30 minutes in between each mistake. And in between each mistake was loads of brilliant things, and he just ignored them all. And I've always had this thought that we all do this. It isn't about you. I could be included as well. I think sometimes we do it where we hyper-focus on something. Sometimes it's to prove a point, but we ignore it in other people. And I really want to do this social experiment to see whether or not
you will never catch me. You'll never catch me calling Saka a grenade football, because he's not grenade football. In and around the final third, you know Saka's going to make a good decision, right? You know Saka's weight of pass is going to be good. You know if Saka's in front of goal, he's not going to be selfish like what Sterling was at Christmas Eve. The guy wanted to ruin my fucking Christmas, because he's right next to the right next to the keeper, and he instead of just passing to Cole Palmer or Madueke on that side, he wants to shoot. He did the same thing against Aston Villa as well, right? So, bro, these mistakes that I'm watching, I'm not imagining them. Right?
So I'm not saying.